Agencies that file a claiming document, DMH2 and DMH3, include those receiving state aid and/or local aid in the form of net deficit funding. Agencies that do not file a claiming document include OASIS, OMH, OPWDD providers operating only rate-based programs, also some for-profit providers. Budget modifications. If you haven't done so already, compare your projected expenses and revenues to your approved budget now. If it appears a modification to your approved budget is required, consult the funding New York State agency for guidance. DMH1 is a 3-tab data entry screen: program units of service and expenses, program revenues, and program adjustments to revenues. Full CFRs. The software automatically aggregates expenses, revenues, and units of service by program type and index code instead of program site. For abbreviated and full CFRs, CFR4 data will be transferred to Personal Services line by the software. This is a screenshot of DMH1 Programs Revenue tab. This is a screenshot of DMH1 Program Adjustments to Revenue tab. Refer to Section 21 of the CFR Manual for more information on GAAP and non-GAAP adjustments to revenue. DMH1, full, abbreviated, and Article 28 CFRs only, not required for mini abbreviated CFRs. In full CFRs, data is carried forward from the CFR1. In abbreviated and Article 28 abbreviated CFRs, data must be manually entered. The DMH1 is completed on a full accrual basis of accounting. The DMH1 is completed on a New York State agency-specific basis. Fiscal information is reported by program type rather than program site. Equipment costing $5,000 or more and having a useful life of 2 or more years must be depreciated. Agency administration is distributed between New York State agencies and their programs using the ratio value allocation methodology for full and abbreviated CFR submission types. Any other revenue items over $1,000 each on lines 30, 34, and 40 must be detailed. New York State CFRS software provides line detail boxes to enter this data. Line detail boxes are also provided for the following types of revenue: Line 25, federal grants; Line 26, state grants. Data can be transferred from the DMH1 to the DMH2 in the New York State CFRS software. Select the New York State agency, select the method of allocation, either percentage, normally 100%, or units of service. The county selected is the funding county for the program selected. One program, several programs, or all programs can be transferred at one time. Select a single program to transfer by clicking on it, or multiple programs by holding the control button on your keyboard and clicking on the individual programs. After selecting the desired programs, click Transfer Programs. The CFRS Messenger window should appear to confirm which programs were successfully transferred. You can transfer less than 100% if 2 counties are involved, for example, 50% to each. If data already exists on a DMH2, manually entered or previously transferred from DMH1 to DMH2, a warning box message will appear. To abort the data transfer, click No. To continue with the data transfer, click Yes. When transferring data from the DMH1 to DMH2, only the line totals for data entered through a line detail box will be transferred. The detail information must be manually entered on a DMH2. If data is being transferred, a CFR messenger box appears with notification of a successful transfer. The software will remind the user to manually input line details box details on DMH2. Either way, click Save, Close, Go, then Go to proceed. Select State Agency, County, and Program from the drop-down list to enter data. Select Contract Type. State contracts are direct contracts between the providing agency and the funding New York State agency, usually start with a C0. Local contracts are contracts between the provider agency and a county local government unit. Select Method of Accounting from drop-down detail box. Remember to add the detail in the lines detailed box for those lines with an asterisk next to the line number, or else a failure will occur during the submission validation process. Note, OASIS does not allow service providers to budget for or claim any type of depreciation or interest expense for aid to localities, state aid reimbursement. Any items of expense, such as property or equipment that were depreciated in the course schedules of the CFR, must be converted to the actual hard dollar amount paid during the fiscal reporting period. Use the DMH2 line 12 to remove the depreciation and interest expense from your claiming document. Also, OASIS does not allow vacation leave accruals to be reported on a DMH2 claiming document. Additional items which may need to be backed out on a DMH2 line 12 include severance pay, real estate taxes, mortgage expenses, and early retirement incentives. Please refer to Section 20 of the CFR Manual for more explanations of non-allowable expenses. Screenshot of the DMH2 Revenues tab. Screenshot of the DMH2 Adjustments to Revenue tab. Refer to Section 22 of the CFR Manual for more information on GAAP and non-GAAP adjustments to revenue. Line 44 is equal to state share. Line 45 is for county tax dollars. Line 46, providers' voluntary contribution. OASIS programs, line not enterable. Line 47, subtotal. Line 48, non-funded. For OASIS and OMH, this is a surplus or deficit of funding over expenses. For OPWDD, indicate the amount of all other funding used to support the net operating costs which does not fall into lines 44 through 47 above. Line 49, total net deficit, must match line 43. The Define a DMH Only Program button is used when a program reported in one column in the course schedules needs to be split into two or more columns on the claiming schedules. This function is only used by OASIS and OMH. Click Define a DMH Only Program. Select the program from the drop-down box, add a different program code index, and click Save. Enter data for the new DMH2 Only program code. The data in the two programs on DMH2 must equal the total values reported in column 1 on DMH1. The DMH2 is completed on a New York State agency and county specific basis. The method of accounting must be indicated over each column containing fiscal data. The DMH2 can be completed on the full accrual, modified accrual, or cash basis of accounting. If the method of accounting chosen is cash or modified, at least one data element must be changed from the DMH1 to the DMH2. Direct or local contract type must be selected and a contract number entered for each reported program. If there is no local contract number, enter the first 7 letters of the county name. If the county name is 7 letters or less, enter the complete county name. Agency administration is distributed between the New York State agencies using the ratio value allocation methodology. Within OASIS and OPWDD schedules, ratio value must be used. Within OMH schedules, agency administration may be distributed between programs using the allocation method used in your agency's approved budget. However, the total agency administration expense reported on the DMH-2 cannot exceed the amount formulated on the CFR 3, line 54. Equipment may be expensed rather than depreciated. Equipment costing $5,000 or more per unit and having a useful life of 2 or more years must be reported on line 9. OASIS does not allow the claiming of vacation leave accruals, interest, or depreciation-related expenses for state aid reimbursement. Revenue details must be provided on the other lines 29, 33, and 39. Approved New York State CFR software provides line detail boxes to enter this data. Line detail boxes are also provided for the following types of revenue: Line 17A Medicaid, Line 24 Federal Grants, Line 25 State Grants. Note, New York State CFRS software only transfers line detail box totals from the DMH-1 to the DMH-2. The detail information must be re-entered on the DMH-2. State grants are grants directly received by the provider agency from other than our 4 state agencies. Federal grants are grants directly received by the provider agency from federal agencies. State and federal grants should only be reported on these lines if they are a component part of the funded programs. State and federal grants that have nothing to do with the funded programs should be reported in column 7 of the CFR2. Remember, if you make any changes to the data on a CFR1, CFR3, or CFR4 after transferring data from the DMH1 to the DMH2, you must go back and retransfer the data. Scheduled DMH2 is not automatically updated. Line 8, which is reserved for OPWDD only, was revised to reserved for future use. Lines 10, 17, and 24 were revised to number of persons served per year. DMH3 is a 3-tab data entry screen. Data can be saved incrementally or after all data has been entered. Select state agency, county, and program from the drop-down list. Select correct funding codes from the drop-down list and enter the data. Click Save and/or select a different tab to proceed. If an incorrect funding code has been used and saved, it can be corrected by using the Change Funding Source button. If a county code needs to be changed, use the Change County Code button. Multiple funding source codes can be used for one program. The second of 2 funding codes in one program. The total values for all funding codes entered for a program in a county are displayed in the Program Totals by County column to the right. After all funding source data has been entered for programs, these totals must match the corresponding program totals on the DMH-2. For OASIS and OMH, the contract number and type indicated for each program on DMH-2 will be transferred to DMH-3. For OPWDD, at least one contract number and type, state or local, combination indicated for each program on DMH-3 must match the information indicated for the program on DMH-2. The DMH-3 is completed on a New York State agency and county specific basis. Funding source codes are found in Appendix N of the CFR manual. Contract numbers must be entered. Contract type must be designated state or local. For each funding source, enter person served per year, units of service, total adjusted expenses, applied net revenue, net operating cost per funding source is calculated, refer to budget for funding source codes and amounts. Total program gross revenue and net on a DMH3 must equal total program gross revenue and net on a DMH2. For submission information regarding the claiming documents, refer to Section 2 of the CFR manual. This completes the CFR training for the claiming documents.